Sometimes we search endlessly for answers, like Caine in Kung Fu, on an endless quest. But sometimes, just sometimes, the answers, or at least some of them, are right before us, but we can't see them. Things become hidden from view. Obvious things are no longer obvious. And intuition, well, it becomes lost. I have something to share with you today. Not just regarding OCD and anxiety, but for life. You can win. You can win. You can win by wanting. By wanting. You can win by wanting. Hey guys, I just thought I'd do another one of my quick videos, and if it's going to be quick, I hope it is. And I just want to put you on to a guy called Reid Wilson. If you go on YouTube and type in Reid Wilson anxiety or Reid Wilson OCD, you'll come across some of his videos, and it's really interesting. I really like what this guy has to say, and what he says is, you've got to want it. You've got to want the anxiety. You've got to want the obsession. And basically by doing that, you're doing the exact opposite of what OCD wants you to do. And but I've been sort of using that little strategy because it's all about an attitude shift. It's about changing your attitude, okay? And not from to paraphrase Reid Wilson himself, not to, oh, I want this, I heard something on the internet, or I read it in a book, and oh, I want it. No, you gotta really want it. Really want it. And taking that attitude, that strategy, you can implement that into your everyday life. For example, you get up in the morning and you got to go to a job that you don't particularly like, and that feeling of dread that you get in your stomach. But if you shifted your attitude and you really meant it to, I want this, then I was going to say it makes you basically invulnerable. But I mean, I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. But it really takes the sting out of things when you can want something you ordinarily wouldn't want. And it's not just jobs. It could be you're stuck in the house and you're stressed, and you're really stressed because you're at home all the time. But if you said, I want to be home, I want this, and really mean it, then again, it will take the sting out of it, because stress, to a certain degree, is about should statements. This shouldn't be happening, or this should be happening. It's these rigid demands that you are making in the background. And by wanting what you ordinarily wouldn't want, takes the sting right out of it. So it could be a job, it could be staying at home, or it could be any situation in your life, or any activity in your life. Anything from doing the ironing, doing the washing, going to an event you don't want to go to. Whatever situation you find yourself in, say to yourself, I want this. So it's not just about OCD, it's not just about anxiety. It's about stress, it's about negative thinking, it's about the pressure you put yourself under. You know, it's about a lot. I'm down here by the beach, as you can probably tell, getting my sneakers dirty, or as Mike Tyson would say, sneakers. And it's a nice day. The tide is out, and this is what it looks like. It's nice down here. I like it. I like blue skies. I like tweeting birds, or boids, as they say in New York. Boids. Tweeting boids. Hey, Evander, we got some tweeting boids, as Mike Tyson would say. Yeah, so it's this attitude of I want it, I want it, I want it. And I'm not going to say, like I said already, I'm repeating myself as I do, it's not going to make you invulnerable, it's not going to make you invincible, it's not going to make you untouchable, but it will certainly take the sting, the hard sting out of things. Because sometimes we can't change events, sometimes we can't change the way things go. So what it requires is an attitude shift. You need to change your attitude. And it's that change in attitude is what helps you, you know. So I'm going to go back to land. And I really think that you should look up Reid Wilson. And he also has a good book. Some, I'm going to confess, I've only read part of, but that's because I'm in the middle of a fantastic book on anxiety called The Anxious Brain, or something, by Pittman, Rewiring the Anxious Brain. And that is brilliant. And that talks about how there's two types of anxiety, and I'm going off on a tangent here, but to hell with it. There's two types of anxiety. There's anxiety that's basically created by the amygdala, and there's anxiety that's created by the cortex. And with the amygdala, you basically use exposure and response prevention. And how am I going to get out of here? And with the cortex, you use cognitive restructuring. And that's the book by Pittman. But anyway, back onto Reid Wilson for a second. It's interesting what he says. To do exposures, what does he say? He says, don't do exposure. Do exposure with attitude. With attitude. I want this. when an intrusive thought comes in, or an intrusive feeling, you know, a lot of people are like, I don't want this, and they're off to the races ruminating about it, as they always do. I'll say one thing about OCD. It is predictable. Right down to the T, it's predictable. So instead of saying, I don't want the obsession, and resisting it, and having emotion on top of emotion, say, I want this. And OCD is going to be like Scooby. It's going to be like, oh, you know, oh, it's going to wonder what the fuck you're doing, because OCD wants to survive, and OCD wants to pull you into a reaction. OCD wants you to ruminate. It wants you to suppress the thought. It wants you to do all these compulsions, because that's how it gets its nourishment. That's how it gets its nourishment. That's how it lives. You know. And think about it this way. If you are messing with OCD's livelihood, then OCD is going to try and punish you for it. And it's going to try and get you to do as many compulsions as it can, because that's how it survives. And when you turn around and you say, I want it, this is what I want, then you're throwing a spanner in the works of OCD. You're doing the exact opposite. You know, Scooby, huh? You know, OCD won't know how to react. Well, it will, because it'll try and throw more compulsions at you. But you're just doing something. See, you got to fight smart, okay? Or as they say in Boston and New England, smart. You got to fight smart. And you got to know how to fight. And what I found when I've, you know, I'm not a professional, you know that, but what I've found in trying to help people with OCD is that they want to fight. Some of them, most of them want to fight, but they don't know how to fight, and they're doing everything wrong. They're doing everything, and I'm just as guilty as the rest of them. Anybody who's had OCD is as guilty as the rest of them of fighting the wrong way. But it's learning to fight the right way. And, you know, while I'm on the subject, when you're looking for perfection, when you want, when things are not going well for you, some people tend to give up. But I think sometimes it's because they're starting too high. And what you need to do is you need to start on a lower level, basically. Start with small exposures and work upwards. You know, if I was your trainer and you were my fighter, and you'd only ever sparred, and I'm gonna put you in the ring with somebody. I'm not gonna put you in the ring with somebody who's got 20 fights under their belt. You'll get fucking cream crackered. You know, if I was gonna put you in the ring and you hadn't had any fights, I'm gonna put you in with the stupidest, dumbest fucker I can get, right? Or I'm gonna put you in there with somebody who's had only one fight. Somebody who's equal to you, or just slightly below, or just slightly above. Slightly above, I would, because that's the way you grow. And then once you accomplish that, I put you in the ring with somebody who's had maybe 2 fights or 3 fights, and you build up gradually. So the worst thing you can do, I think, is start up the hierarchy too high. You got to do things, you know, gradual. But a good way to start would be using Reid Wilson's method, and that's, I want this. So when an intrusive thought comes in, let's go back. So when an intrusive thought comes in, and it's, you know, you have an automatic fearful reaction to it and a need to suppress it, to block it out, or whatever the case may be, then I think that you should say, I want this. I mean, I've always said allow it in, but wanting it is a step further. You know, I want this. And that goes for every other area of your life. Like I said, you're stressed out because you're stuck indoors. You're stressed out because you don't like your job. You're stressed out because you don't like school. You're stressed out because somebody's winding you up. You're stressed out because you need to get a project done on time. Bloody alarm. This is my alarm. Do you know what happened to me the other week, by the way? I self-recorded my alarm. And excuse my language, but I shouted into my alarm, "Get up, you lazy cunt." Right? And I was in the middle of town not so long back, and I was amongst all these people, and my alarm went off. "Get up, you lazy cunt." And about 20 or 30 heads just looked at me. So I acted all, you know, brazen, and just switched my alarm off. But I was absolutely embarrassed. I was really embarrassed. Anyway, I can't remember what I was now, but basically, just want it. I mean, do I have to put it in big letters for you? Just say, I want it. Whatever you are in life, whatever you're doing, whether it's intrusive thoughts or just a non-OCD issue, want it. And when you want it, you'll take the sting out of it, and you'll make your life so much better. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go, and I'll talk to you soon, all right? Take care for now. Bye.